lighting's not the best, but it is what it is. Good evening and welcome to my Mirabel live stream. Yes, Mirabel's powers, lack thereof. Is there any chance that she does? Well, let's see. Let's start out with basically considering previous Disney protagonists and their songs. In The Lion King, Simba had his song, one song, I Just Can't Wait to Be King. And as you sort of go through his song, you realize that it is happening in universe. And when their performance is done, it has successfully accomplished what he set it out to do, which was to trap Zazu and let them go do bad things that would get them in lots of trouble. If we look at The Little Mermaid, you will see that Ariel had her song, Part of Your World, that occurred in universe. And alongside that, since it involved her, her sidekick Sebastian had his song Under the Sea, and that also happened in universe, and it did not have the work out the intention that Sebastian had. Instead, Ariel used it to escape. Moana. Let's fast forward to a more current generation. Moana had her How Far I'll Go, and that happened in universe. And so we kind of get and you also Rapunzel and Pocahontas and basically all the others, their songs occurred in universe. It didn't occur in a separate hypothetical space. And so we have this history of Disney protagonists and their songs occurring in universe and directly impacting the world around them. Okay, now let's look specifically at Encanto, the opening song, Family Madrigal. You notice that no one disputes that occurs in universe, and it does get a little bit crazy. But something you notice that near the end, which doesn't happen, which typically doesn't happen, you interrupt the protagonist's song. She's introducing the family, and Abuela interrupts it. What are you doing? And she was just in it, performing in it. And so this is kind of interesting because she's acknowledging that it's going on in the universe, but she's perplexed and confused about why it's still going on. And so that's interesting. And also the very last, the closing song, where we reintroduce the cast, and Bruno takes his part in it and everything. Nobody disputes that is occurring in universe. I mean, they're literally rebuilding Casita. So we have it bookended with two songs that are clearly in universe. And so now we get inside the bookends. And here's where people are typically saying that these are occurring in a dream space or some hypothetical imaginary thing that is not in the main fantasy, but we're going Inception. There's a fantasy within it, a fantasy. That's kind of what they're saying is happening. And so we're waiting on a miracle. Obviously, it definitely starts out in universe. Don't be upset or mad at all. And she's starting to sing while everyone else is just sort of in freeze frame, but not quite. Slowly, everybody's slowly moving. It's almost like Mirabel is moving in between the ticks of the clock or whatever have you. But somehow reality is being manipulated, whether she may be moving hyper fast or the world is literally freeze. Speak well. But something's definitely going on, because she's clearly moving through the real world in the universe. She is moving. She's giving each of the family their verse of the song. Can't control the morning rain or hurricane. And she's just going down, and clearly in the realm of the real. And then she's going down the stairs. The kids are streaming by slowly with their sparklers, and she's like just sort of moving, completely unaware of that anything's out of the normal. And she's just going on. And then she has her moment where she's like literally creating worlds by stamping. There's casita, there's the flowers. She's doing all of this stuff. And it all comes back. She ends back in the real, and but at the end of it, she doubts, am I too late for a miracle? And it's at that point that reality again shifts. Casita drops a piece and then starts cracking. Her emotional state has come from one of sort of gripping determination, waiting on this miracle, and now all the stepping back, am I too late? And reality shifts yet again. And now, before we go farther, and then once we have a side note here, we have a little prophecy for you. Is there a parallel to this idea that we're talking about here? You might be seeing it just in my description from this song here. A shifting in reality, having okay, we're gonna step again. We're gonna go back now, because we're sort of time traveling all over the place here. At Mirabel's door, it's supposed to open and give her a gift. But she touches the door, it goes away. Before she does, she wipes her hands. No, that's not disappearing the miracle. Stop it. Director already made that clear, or the producer, I forget who it was offhand, but it is not, she did not wipe a miracle off. Her hands were sweaty. Why were they sweaty? She was nervous. Was she going to get it? Was it going to happen? Was it going to happen? She was nervous. And kind of parallels in my mind the state where she was at the end of waiting on a miracle. Am I too late for a miracle? Am I going to get this? And she doubts. And she wipes her hands, she's sweating, and she doubts. She grabs the doorknob, she's doubting. Reality shifts. Away goes the magic door. But is that, could you have a gift like this without being aware of it? And so we are going to now look at Luisa's song, Under the Surface. Surface pressure. Pressure like a tick, tick, tick that'll never stop. And okay, we come to the opening of this song, And nobody disputes that we are in the real world of the fantasy. She's stomping around. Then she starts breaking rocks on herself and getting a little crazy. But still nobody doubts that because it's already been established that she has super strength. But then we start phase shifting to these other scenarios. Fighting Cerberus, the Titanic, the iceberg, and ultimately the world, the entire Encanto on top of her, and she's still holding up. Fantasy, within the fantasy, are we inceptioning here? If this is a hypothetical within the fantasy world, why does Luisa have to save Mirabel? Luisa is being impacted by this world around her and is perceiving these dangers as credible existential threats. So she's grabbing Mirabel, she's keeping her back, and just generally protecting her from these dangers hanging off the cliff. Cerberus, the geysers, all this stuff. She's actively protecting Mirabel. And so all of these landscapes and these dangers are generating as Mirabel is hearing her struggles and her pressure, and it is projecting into the world around them. And so finally at the end of the song here, Luisa, where we are definitely back in the fantasy real world, but it's clear that Luisa has been somewhere. She's freaking exhausted. And if she was just, emotions can be tense, but from what she did in the opening of the song, breaking the stuff on her head didn't cause any problems. Yet here at the end, she is exhausted. Something clearly happened that impacted Luisa physically within the real fantasy world. So was this a Mirabel headspace? Is that what was going on? Or was reality actually being warped around Luisa and Mirabel as this was happening? And so here we have all of those things that happened would clearly exhaust Luisa. They didn't crush her, but they would clearly exhaust her. And yet, and they did. And so, and that happened. And after she was beat all day from that. I mean, that was a lot of weight that she was putting on, a lot more than she would usually carry. Churches or bridges, all that mess would have weighed a whole lot more. And so, yeah. And so we see that the world is being bent, and then we can step away from the songs and back to the we can even look at Isabella's song. Even though in Isabella's song, Isabella is energized, Mirabel's energized along with her. It's not out of the realm of possibility to assume that Mirabel's internal gift is magnifying Isabella's gift, and now she's realizing that she can do all these things. She's been unlocked, and again, all these fantastic things are happening. The palm to the sky, and all through the village, and again, Mariano gets socked in the nose with the flower. Nobody doubts that that's happening in the movie, and it's pretty fantastical. Not quite as fantastical as what happened in Luisa's song, but still pretty fantastical. And nobody doubts it. And Abuela is upset by it because there's a mess and Isabella's out of control, yada yada yada. And so now we're here. Now we're here back to Mirabel's power. And so again we enter into the doubt space, like she did when she was at her first door, like she did at the end of Waiting on a Miracle. And now here we are. We've just saved the miracle. The candle's burning brighter. The cracks are self-healing. Mirabel is literally healing everything because her relationship with her sister was restored, and that was super important to her. Now she's super energized, but then here comes Abuela and trashes everything, puts Mirabel back down into that negative, the negative internal headspace, and now the world's literally splitting apart. The house is now rubbish, and it wasn't Abuela that did it. Abuela doesn't have any power here. The only power, the power that Abuela has is indirect, and she is influencing Mirabel into that negative headspace, and now unconsciously Mirabel is bringing down the miracle. All the powers, everyone else's powers anyway, are stripped bare, gone, and all of the miracle is destroyed and laying in pieces all around them. Again, Mirabel has again exercised the power, a creative power of destruction and erasure, and wiped. The power is gone because she's never going to be good enough, and it's the one that she wants so desperately to approve of her has formally burned her, and now she's unwittingly returned the favor. Not that if she realized she could, but anyway, now we go back to the question of